Ghana Means Business, brought to you by GhOIL. GhOIL, good energy.
Ghana Means Business. Your story, our message.
Once again, you are welcome to the final and concluding episode of our interview with His Excellency the British High Commissioner, Mr. Iain Walker. This evening, we promise to bring you another evening of insight, tradition, history, diplomacy, and the major economic achievements between Ghana and the United Kingdom. Stay tuned and please enjoy the show.
Every now and again, GhOIL makes good things happen. This time, GhOIL has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. GhOIL Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. GhOIL Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. GhOIL Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with GhOIL Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. GhOIL has that sorted. GhOIL, good energy.
Ghana Means Business. Your story, our message.
Ghana is not positioning itself to take advantage of the vast tourist attractions that we have.
I think when it comes to tourism, I think that the question is, how do you make it easy? You know, how do you make it easy so that if there's a person sitting at home in Birmingham in the UK and thinking, I know, I'm going to go to Ghana, what do I do? And I think for me there should be like one page that says, if I want to come on a budget, here's what I would do. And if I want to come but I have more money to spend, here's what I would do. And not necessarily organise it for, I don't mean that. I mean you stimulate people's interest. So they could say, oh, I could go and see the dam. Oh, I could go, okay. At the moment, I think there's so many great things to do here. There really are. And up at Vlee Falls, I can think of, you can think up in Kumasi, it's beautiful, down the kind of coast and the many beautiful coastal resorts. But if you're sitting in that house in Birmingham and you've never been to Ghana, you don't know that Koh Sa Beach Resort or whatever is down the coast. You don't know that it's safe. You'll be thinking, is that going to be... You don't know how to get from the airport to your hotel. So I just think the more that can be done, if it was down to me, I think it's the more that can be done to make that as easy as possible. Because I think once you stimulate people's interest, you know, it's the basics. It's a 6-hour flight away. The weather is always warm.
True.
The opposite of the UK.
You could live in Ghana
cold.
without a shirt.
Right, exactly. So it's always warm. It's 6 hours away, and people speak English. So, and the people fundamentally are welcoming, and it's a safe place to be. And these are things that, you know, are a very firm foundation to build on. So that's what I think. I care about it because I think it's a way to tell the brilliant story of this brilliant country, and also like getting some of those little bits right about how do you engage a person so that you pique their interest and think, right, you know. And the way we do that in the UK, to be clear, is if you had never been to the UK before and you don't know anyone in the UK, you would do a web search and you would first of all probably come to Visit Britain. Mm-hmm. And the Visit Britain website would say, where do you want to go? How much do you want to spend? Where do you want? And you gradually get, oh, I'd like to go to, oh, okay, well, if I go there, then I could go.
High Commissioner, one of your greatest initiatives in Ghana was the Ghana Grant Project. Can you educate us about what this project is and how you gave birth to it?
I honestly don't know if I know the answer to that question. It started...
But first, what is it? What is the Ghana Grant Project?
So it started off as an idea to cycle from Burkina Faso down to Accra.
Burkina Faso on a bicycle?
On a bicycle, yeah. So that was the initial plan.
How many miles or kilometers would that
So
be?
we kind of worked it out as being about 1,000 kilometres, hence Grand. So, and then we wanted to call it the Ghana Grand, as the whole essence of it was to, you know, in my own modest way, tell a story about Ghana that wasn't a story of poverty, that wasn't a story of security, but was
So
a
from the border, Hamile, the
Yep.
border between Ghana and Burkina, or inside Burkina itself?
No, so we started on the Ghanaian side of the border. So we started actually in Tumu,
Okay.
and we came down. And the purpose really was to try and tell the story and to the people we met and the kind of the country. And
So you had cameramen with you?
yeah, we had cameramen with us. Yeah, we put it on YouTube.
Wow.
It's had quite a lot of views on YouTube, and we met all of our the many partners that we have across the country on the way. So we came down from Tumu down to Wa, to Laura, Damongo, over to Tamale, down to Salaga, Pandai, down past Jasakan, Hohoi, Ho,
Wow.
Accra. And it was singularly the best thing that I've done. I absolutely loved it. And I loved it because I wasn't
Was
in
there a course?
So, I mean, the cause, so from gestation to what it became, the cause seemed to kind of grow. I mean, the initial cause was to, as I said, to kind of try and tell the story, to get out and meet people, but not to have the flag car, not to have the kind of the badge of His Excellency, the British High Commissioner, but to be a guy that turns up on a bike, and just to be, you kind of cut through I think protocol works in a positive way in some regards, but in others it can act as a bit of a barrier. And I was keen to kind of break that barrier down. So that was the initial piece. But as the project kind of grew, I think we thought, well, hold on a minute, why don't we kind of do this and try and focus on, you know, engaging with our partners. So we met them all on the way. We had about 45 different engagements on the way down the road. And we thought, why don't we kind of be really clear about the focus of this, which is about tourism and telling the story of the country and showing it in all of its beauty. And secondly, focusing on health, and in particular mental health. And how and why actually exercise for me is, I think, a good way of just keeping me on the straight and narrow. I just feel it relaxes me. It kind of means I feel much more kind of balanced. Other people do things in their own way, but I think it really matters. And linked to health, then we thought, well, let's raise some money. So we ended up raising, it was a modest amount, about $50,000 for Corlebu's burns units. And we built a kind of microsurgery lab at the end of it. I mean, that was a really important part of it, but it was the storytelling, I think, that mattered, because we had over 90 million social media impacts. We'd pick up on the story in the UK, the US, big parts of Europe. And what I liked about it was telling a story of the Ghana I understand, which is a warm, welcoming, diverse, vibrant country, really kind of knocking on the head some of the kind of perceptions, I think, of those that perhaps don't know Ghana, don't know West Africa. And that was the bit from which I took the greatest satisfaction. And it was great on the last leg of it to then involve a kind of a mass cycle event from Tema back into Accra, and we had about 300 or 400 people on bikes joining us, which I loved.
So
and
how many days did it take you?
So it took us 9 days of cycling.
9 days?
Over 10 days. We had one day at Mole National Park, which is lovely. But it was
Ghana
really
is grateful.
Oh, it was
Ghana is
great fun.
grateful. That was something that you didn't have to do, and Ghana is better off by your presence. Ghanaians are grateful.
It's very,
Very grateful.
kind.
Now, naturally, coming into a place like Ghana, taking on the position of the High Commissioner naturally comes with certain challenges. Can you help us to understand some of the challenges you had when you came in as the High Commissioner for
So
Great
I think,
Britain?
as you say, I think you inevitably come in to see challenges. I think one of the biggest challenges, I think, has been, I think I said the word earlier, overcoming any sense of complacency. Overcoming a sense from Ghana that the UK is always the favoured partner, or close kind of social ties. And on the UK side, thinking that Ghana is a great country, good friend, common values, all those things are true. But I hope that the challenge that I've kind of fought quite hard to try and make sure does not come in is we must not take that for granted. We must not take that for granted in all of the work that we do. So we've got to mobilise the diaspora, we've got to mobilise investment and economic development, we've got to mobilise how we work together in good governance, we've got to mobilise how we do more on improvements in the healthcare system here, or on education, where we've been, in Ghana, I think we've invested about £2 billion over the last 20 years. We don't invest that now as Ghana moves kind of beyond aid, and it's like technical exchanges and how we learn from each other, of course. But that sense of how do we now, if we're in a good place, how do we drive forward? I think people that know me probably find me rather impatient. But I care about that, and I care about it because I've alluded to this before, but the word we often use in diplomacy is about relationships, but you get out of a relationship what you put in. I think if you say you care but you don't, you notice. So we need to kind of keep on, understanding what's on each other's minds, and really, I think, dig deep to keep on trying to kind of make that stronger and stronger and stronger as we go ahead. So the challenge then has been, how do we make sure that we don't rest and think all will be fine? Equally, let's not lurch the other way and say everything's a mess, and isn't it? No, it's about being honest, it's about being friends, it's about being critical friends in private where we can challenge each other. It's about publicly trying to be open and transparent about how we're engaging on matters. But I think those for me are the big challenges that I think for me the UK and Ghana relationship is only, we agree on so much. It's how do we really catapult ourselves into the next stage forward. And as I said,
and on that note,
I'm an optimist.
On that note, Khalil Gibran in The Poet starts off by speaking to the high priestess, where the high priestess demands from Khalil Gibran that you have been a foreigner amongst us. Now on the day of your departure, what have you observed and how can we be better people? So you have come, you've lived amongst us, you've seen us, you've eaten with us, you've been part of our culture, our politics and our democracy. And I understand very soon you may believe in us. How can we as a people, based on the level of our development, our democracy, our elections, our economy, our policies, what should we be doing next? If you could share a piece of advice for us.
I mean, it's a great question. I would never be so bold as to kind of tell Ghanaians what to do. That's my first thing, I know that. But I think if there's one thing that I would really like to see is a stronger focus of translation of aspiration into execution and delivery.
Ghana means business. Your story, our message.
Ghana Beyond Aid.
So Ghana
it is the future.
Yeah.
It is an incredible slogan or call to arms. Now, do you see structures? Do you see pathways? Do you see pillars that Ghana Beyond Aid is resting upon to sustain and propel it? That would be the sort of advice or opinion that I'm seeking from you.
So I think in certain areas we can see that. We can see it in terms of digitisation plans, you can see it in terms of certain parts of what's trying to move. But yeah, as an overall construct, I think it's something that is a work in progress, it seems to me. But I think it applies to all areas of life as well as to government policy. I think Ghana is blessed with a huge number of incredibly well-educated people. Ghana's commitment to education is the kind of it's the foundation stone, right, of all that's good, I think. And the continued commitment to education, I think, is genuinely laudable. I think it's trying to make sure then that then kind of pulls through. There are lots of wise voices in government, outside of government, but I think really turning good ideas into practice, I think, is the big thing. And if you'll indulge me as I take a step back before coming to the detail again, my own grandfather worked in Ghana.
Oh, wow.
It's not the reason why I'm here, but he was a marine engineer, and he was based in Takoradi. I never met him. Sadly, he died when my own father was 16, so I never met him. But I know Ghana was a big part of his life. By absolute happen chance, my wife's grandfather was in Ghana, and he was involved. He was a structural engineer, a professor at the University of London, and was involved in the structural design for the bridge over the Adomi Bridge over the. I say these things because when I talk in Ghana, there's a lot of reverence often. I don't talk about these things that often publicly, but there's a lot of reverence for that and a discussion about that. But the conversation I want to have is that when I come to have grandchildren, I want them to be coming to Ghana. So therefore, it's great that my grandparents were here, but when we talk about building things for the future, I care about the ties, because I think that the ties, if we sit back on them, will become tired. I don't feel that's how they are, but I think we must keep on really investing in that big time. So my observation then, which is kind of what I say, is that I think Ghana will move beyond aid. It's a lower middle income country already. I think when I hear the president talk about it, the bit I really believe is about the mindset, is about Ghana needs not to be lectured at by people. It needs not to be told by others what to do. I like that autonomy. I love that kind of standing, kind of proud. I think that's fantastic, and that's exactly what it should be. I think that the bit that follows from that is, how do we then, if we're not seeing enough investment coming in, then an honest appraisal, even privately, says, okay, why? What do we need to do? Doesn't mean that others are right, but what do we need to do to unlock things? In the case of the diaspora, the year of return, a phenomenal success, absolutely brilliant. So how then do we then organise behind that to make sure that the second year, the third year, the fourth year, once we get through COVID, are even better and even bigger, and we keep on, and Ghana, which is why I'm an optimist. These things happen in Ghana. Somehow Ghana makes it happen, but a stronger focus on delivery to make sure that it really does happen and happen quickly, I think is something that I care about for this country. And when I do come to leave, which is soon, as you say, I'll be leaving in a month.
Oh, wow.
After 4 years.
So how many elections have you witnessed?
Just the one. So I was here for 4 years, so I only saw the last one. I came just after the 2016 elections. But I don't leave Ghana. I think I definitely leave with a bit of Ghana in my heart. So I will for sure remain engaged and connected, and I've now very many great friends here, and I fully intend to keep in touch.
Ghana is renowned for his hospitality. If you had to recount one experience that cemented this statement about Ghana or Ghanaians being very hospitable, what would be that singular, exceptional experience that you had that confirmed this statement about Ghana's hospitality?
Gosh. I think sitting having dinner with the Gonja King in Salaga was tremendous.
Can you share with us what you had to eat?
So we had a kind of a range of foods. From recollection, there was certainly some jollof, of course. There was certainly some kind of chicken stew. That was, I can't remember what it was. There was some. I'm pretty sure there was some tilapia there, and there was and some banku.
Wow.
So the food itself was lovely, but as ever with a good dinner or with hospitality, the food matters, but the company.
How was the company?
Sensational.
And how was the king?
Sensational. Just amazing. I mean, really.
What is the singular, most important for lack of a better word, advice or experience that you would always treasure from that meeting?
I think it was his humility. You know, I loved the fact that here was a man that I hadn't met before. We'd never spoken before. I turned up in his, in his town 2 hours before, and we'd cycled down from Tamale and we'd played a game of football with the local school. The children were significantly faster than us and better than us at football. But the significant, and just being able to have a conversation with somebody who I'd never met, but just to kind of get a feeling of life in Salaga, of being the traditional leader, of the things that were on his mind, the things that his people were asking, expecting of him, his connection with the capital, with the region. I just felt like a sponge, just kind of soaking that in, and a wonderful man, a really nice man, and so I think that's what. So I think it is that kind of sense of humility, and I think a real sense to me. I think, I guess Brits, we like our, as you know, our protocol. Our conversation started talking about the royal family, and we have a deep respect for them. And in Ghana, Ghanaians have a deep respect for the traditional leaders in the same way. But I think for me, in many ways, my philosophy is that we're all born equal, actually, and that whether you're talking to a Tumfo or whether you're talking to the man in the streets, you need to speak to these people with exactly the same respect. You need to treat them with cordiality, and that goes a long way. And I think when I think of the Gonja King, I think what I felt with him was I felt like I was talking to a friend.
Wow.
And I just met him that day, and that's that's one of the kind of treasures I think I'll have of being here.
Amazing. Mr. High Commissioner, you earlier alluded to the fact that very soon you'll be leaving us. How would you want to be remembered? If you could write, for lack of a better word, if you could write your own epitaph, how would you want to be remembered?
It's a good question. I think I'd like to be remembered as someone that cared, someone that kind of, I was always told by my mother when I was a schoolboy that it doesn't matter if you come top in the class or bottom, but you do your best. And I think that's probably what I'd like to think I've done here. So I feel like I've wrung it out as far as I can. So I inevitably in 4 years, many things have gone well, many things have not gone as well as I would have liked them to have gone in that kind of time. But I think I can genuinely say I'd like to be remembered in terms of caring, of it not being about me, but of being about something bigger, of it being about, I think, the values that our country stand for, and the fact that we're not, I hope, arrogant, but actually the opposite, engaged. We participate in the country, and that we want Ghana to succeed, not because we're doing a favour, but because we fundamentally believe it's in the UK's interest for Ghana to succeed too. So that's a bit of a roundabout answer, but I think I'd like to remember someone that genuinely cared about the country and did what I could to kind of further our common interests.
Finally, COVID has come and COVID has conquered, but definitely COVID will not have the last and final word. Going forward, how do you see the world in a post-COVID world? How do you see that? Do you see a reset? Do you see existing values changing or existing chains of command or economies changing? Or do you think the status quo will still be maintained? How do you see the world post-COVID?
So I don't think COVID is conquered. I think we have proven we can conquer COVID. I think it's shown us, surely, about how interconnected we all are. In a rather ironic way, when it began, we were all told to socially distance, to stay apart. And arguably, what it's done is show us the opposite. It's the importance of coming together. It's the importance of making sure that when we try to research vaccines, we don't do it as individual islands. We do it in a way that's complementary, that supports each other, that isn't competitive. And when it comes to, how COVID itself has kind of evolved, and there's still, unfortunately think that there's still a few chapters of this to go. But it's shown the evolution of COVID has shown that none of us are safe until we are all safe. We need to get vaccines rolled out around the world. But I think it has certainly pressed the pause button. I think it's encouraged many people to think. It's encouraged, I think, us all to think, well, how do we work together better in the future? We probably all appreciated our environment actually a bit more during COVID. We've all been stuck at home. And I think we perhaps realised the fragility of life and making sure that we do make sure that the important things are dealt with importantly, not as a sideshow. So I think, look, I think we will come back. I just hope we come back stronger. And by stronger, I mean I hope we have a real commitment to a focus on the environment, on global health. Two subjects that 10 years ago, 15 years ago were talked about on the periphery, I think are now very much in the mainstream. And talk about how we have countries work together to pursue this. It's not going to be individual countries. So I think it has been a reset, and I think it will be interesting to see what follows. But I'll certainly be watching closely.
Folks, like I told you, this is history in the making. This is perhaps the exit interview of His Excellency, the British High Commissioner, Mr. Iain Walker. And once again, the rich partnership, the deep commitment to diplomacy and economic development between Ghana and the United Kingdom has been at display. GhMeansBiz is grateful to His Excellency, the British High Commissioner, Mr. Iain Walker. This show has been deeply enriching, informative and educative, and we wish the ambassador the very best wherever he may find himself posted diplomatically. This has been your apolitical, factual, unbiased television show, Ghana Means Business. I am your host, Nana Fredia Ajimai Pambo.